I have to remind you about the watch butler.
Yeah, exactly. We have a watch butler, or with some Bulgaris or that work, it comes with a watch butler box that keeps it wound and set for you. In this one, you just have the old school version of just a man on staff for you. But yeah, this thing's gorgeous. It's pretty.
The world's newest technology, winding the world's oldest technology.
3, 2, 1. Give you a round of applause for what you think of Roman Jerome. Yes, greetings. You have missed the Blast from the Past, which is a look back at the previous aBlogtoWatch article from, I didn't actually establish what the date was on this.
2018.
The date is 2018, a random number generator. Oh, David was a random number generator this morning because Ariel's still showing complete inability to choose between the numbers 1 to 5 for reasons as yet unknown.
I stand by my statement. The humans are not good at doing anything randomly, let alone choosing numbers, and that's why random number generators were created for this precise, difficult issue.
We'll introduce random number generator. Obviously, I agree, but it doesn't matter if what it's being used to do is pick a random page that you have no inkling as to what's on it in the first place. But anyway, right, let's get on with the show. And two things, because completely non-watch related, although one of them may turn out to be watch related. I really should get rid of this Roman Jerome article that's still showing, is Ripley. People have been asking, I've been getting single emails. Tashegate. What happened? Did you get called for court? Did you get removed? Did you manage to find them guilty quickly? What happened? There's no mustache anymore. Did it work?
No, I kept it on for the entire week, which past Easter, unfortunately. I did my civil duty where each night after 6 p.m. I call in to receive my instructions the following day. Upon Friday, upon Friday, I was instructed that I had fulfilled it. I would not be getting called in, and I had worn a very questionable mustache around for the last 2 weeks, including to Easter, with my fiance's family, and no one got to see it except her family. So
excellent.
Yeah, quite unfortunate, but we're clean shaven and we're going to keep it that way for the foreseeable future.
Good stuff. James in the chat is suggesting it blew off in a high wind, which also might be possible.
That's charitable. It would take a high wind. I think a gentle zephyr would be enough.
Gentle zephyr. Good stuff. Anyway, how is everybody? How are you, David?
I'm very well, thank you.
Anything exciting happening in your week?
In my week? Oh, geez, no. Thank God. I can do without some excitement for now.
No excitement
but thank you
David.
for asking.
My pleasure. Ariel, how are you?
I guess I'm going to be taking a few weeks off of traveling to the watches. I think that's what's really typified the nature of our work right now. It's like watches are pretty small, but they are apparently a lot harder to move than people. So now, rather than watches moving to people now move to watches. That's the nature of our job.
That's a very interesting analysis of the situation. Any particularly interesting watches that you're expecting to move to you instead?
I don't know. There's a lot coming out now. When the show sort of died, I remember thinking to myself, there's no way these brands would allow multiple years to go by without having us see their product. And then we see what Swatch Group did. I was like, wow, they really don't care if anyone sees their watches. They just don't care. So I'm like, oh, this is not good. We need to, shoot watches and get photography and stuff like that. Thankfully, there's still way more watches than we could ever cover. But I sometimes feel out of touch because there's watches I only see in the marketing images. And I think you become a watch lover and maybe a few months goes by and you're like, wait a minute, watches don't really look in person like they do in the marketing images. And so I recognize that. So I need to see a lot more of these watches. So I have to keep traveling. But yeah, I mean, it's still exciting to see the products. I think it's always fun. It's that's why people do those car show meccas. You have to see the thing.
When was the last time Swatch actually had an event of any scale?
August in Geneva. A couple of brands got together. We have no idea if they'll do it again. They have no idea if they'll do it again.
I wouldn't call that an event, though. They just had people in a boutique. I don't think that's...
Hey, there was bread on there that said BlogPon on it with a little coffee thing and tents. That's
that's true.
Umbrella.
They had a food truck. A food truck is now a Swatch Group event. That's great.
Yeah, there was sliced meat,
Yeah, there was charcuterie. That counts. It's an event.
They thought it was
it's an
amazing.
Event. If you're only allowed to eat food with your fingers, then it qualifies as an event. If they don't serve cutlery, then it's an event.
But they got to put their logo on white bread, and they thought that was the most amazing, ironic joke ever. Because they've been waiting to do that for a long time.
Yeah.
They told me that. They're like, we got to be funny. We squeezed it through. We managed to do it.
And did they, on their enamel dials, did they have email as well? Like just printed out screens of email for any enamel dials that they had as well?
Yeah, they don't laugh at that though, no.
No, they don't find that joke funny. Right, okay.
Has Second done that yet, where it's like an enamel dial that just says email, but the enamel dial depicts like a 90s email AOL browser type of screen?
You've got email?
Yeah.
There's it wants to be reminiscent of those AOL discs that used to be attached to every magazine that was going, and it needs to be based on an Hublot, really. So you've got the wee USB at the bottom as well.
You're really into the USB thing.
I'm still so into the USB thing. It's the only reason
I've never felt crazier trying to explain to a younger person that the internet used to come in the form of minutes and it was delivered by a desk. And you'd often find those discs outside of public restrooms.
I mean, the way you're putting the story is awfully suspect. Let's be honest.
That's interesting because, interestingly, that leads us on to a little chat myself and Ripley had just before you guys joined us, which was I don't know how we got on to discussing Florida Man, but I did not know that this was a thing, but it may well also relate to the little discs being found outside bathrooms. And he encouraged me that there is such a thing as Googling your, as Googling your birthday and the phrase Florida Man and see what article pops up. I realize this has nothing to do with watches, but it was very funny. And I'm convinced there must be a watch link here somewhere. So let's try it. David, give us your birthday.
I'm typing it into Google now. I'm supposed to sharing it with the world, but okay. All right. Okay, so here's the first one. Florida man arrested for drunk dialing 911 when he wanted vodka. Okay, that's good. Florida man sentenced in egg smuggling case. Florida man flushes buttocks at IHOP. We got there, but I guess they publish such an article every day. I mean, that's just the thing, isn't it?
This is the website.
By the way, if you're in Florida and listening, we know this is not representative of all the fine people of the state of Florida.
Of course not.
Of course not.
But you do live with these folks.
There.
This is not mere coincidence. There are an awful number of articles like this. I do come across them quite organically.
So, Florida Man is an American tradition a European could never understand.
David, is there like an equivalent?
Here? There certainly are. We just don't write articles about them. That's all. It's just normal life. It's just daily life.
It's just life day to day in Hungary. I've got Florida man arrested in pizza attack. And Florida man goes on a 2-week bender and winds up with 4 duffel bags containing $3.5 million.
When these guys go crazy, do they buy luxury watches? Like during that several-week bender, are they buying any gold timepieces?
I mean, think about all the boutiques down there. Of course, what are you going to do? You go on a 3-day bender, you wake up with $3.5 million in a duffel bag, and then you go hit the boutiques in Miami and you get yourself an Hublot.
Show me your finest.
It's been suggested that Glasgow may be the equivalent of Florida. I would actually say it was more Edinburgh, but then I'm from Glasgow, so I'd say Edinburgh. the English side of Scotland. Anyway, yes, so there we go, Florida man. I just thought that was quite good. Right, let's talk about some watches, but first of all, let's talk about a watch survey. Ariel, we're in the middle of a very substantial watch survey, and it is substantial, but it also comes with high rewards. And the first rewards have been given out. First 2 aBlogtoWatch survey giveaway winners announced. Tell us a little bit about the survey, what you're trying to do with it, and what is available to win if you simply take part.
Thank you, Rick. Yeah, we're currently running what I call the aBlogtoWatch audience survey for 2025. This is a slightly different survey than we've ever done before. So I want to thank everyone that's participated in our previous surveys. We don't do this stuff annually. We do this every several years. And this is what I'll call a sentiment survey. And I'm trying to figure out, for the most part, a little bit about you, but also about how you feel about certain specific brands. And I want to do certain comparisons. So this is a bit of a bear. It's 45 pages. I'm just like telling everyone that because it's a lot. Most of it is the same questions, just different brands. So it's not that difficult to read. But we are giving out a lot of watches. You have no worse than a 1 in 200 chance to win a watch, which is pretty good. So thank you to the various companies that have given over watches for this good cause. It is an interesting thing to take. A lot of people have messaged me, said that I forced them to think about things that they hadn't really thought about. So I guess that's good feedback. So we're going to keep the aBlogtoWatch 2025 survey open for a little bit longer. Enter for a pretty good chance to win a watch and to help us with some very interesting information that we can use to deliver not only great content, but great insights to understand what's going on and to help brands bring you the best stuff. I think that's really what it comes down to, is we want to give brands insights as to what you're thinking and feeling and wanting. And that translates into how they talk to you, the watches they make, how they price things. That's all very, very important. So there's a lot of upsides to taking the time to participate in the survey. Thank you.
I like the fact that Breaking News Beats in the chat did the survey as he waited to get some links fixed, which begs the question, which would be the best? If anyone can take their iPad or their laptop and fill in this survey while in a boutique and get like a shot of them sitting in a seat in row X or somewhere while filling in the aBlogtoWatch survey, then do send in. But where would be the most appropriate place in the watch world to fill in this survey? Where do we think?
The watch world?
Yeah. Where do you...
If you're on your phone doing it, you're going to look like you're doing some serious work. You're going to have that look on your face of deep thinking. So if you need to look like you're in serious deep thought and contemplation, or you're really working hard on something to those around you, but just want to do a survey, wherever that is a good thing. Yeah.
Most appropriate watch boutique to do the survey in, Ripley?
Oh.
Thinking man. It's a thinking man and women's survey. What's a thinking man and women's watch?
Who's got a quiet, nowhere busy? It's, I want to sit down and be able to focus on
there.
this. No one.
Breva boutique?
Does Parmigiani have any boutiques?
Yeah.
I think it would be very nice, very comfortable. Probably not very busy.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Quietest boutique to go to, or the busiest boutique to go to, David? Preference?
Quietest. Wow.
Survey in a busy place or survey in a...
I don't know. Another place would be like a Frank Muller boutique where you're bombarded with colors and textures and shapes and texts and everything else. So, maybe not too many people around, but definitely a lot of impulses nevertheless.
Yeah, do you think you could be unduly influencing the boutique that you went into to answer different questions different ways than you would if you were just sat in a coffee shop? You're
I'm willing to take that risk.
Unduly influenced by the fact you're sitting in a Breitling boutique.
We will accommodate that unfortunate bias.
Bias.
That's where you choose to do it. By the way, I was near a lot of Los Angeles fancy watch stores on Rodeo last week, and for the most part, the stores were empty, save for the salespeople in there. I think it's a slow time for them right now. I'm seeing that brands want to actively drive in traffic. I think there's good watches out there. I think there's good deals, but I'm starting to notice the brands don't feel that they can just have a fancy store and expect people to walk in. This is a time where they really need to embrace the community.
Yeah. How's everybody feeling in the watch world? Do you think your own experiences in and out of boutiques or speaking to high hegians and watch brands, does the market feel good, bad, and different, or just completely and utterly confused as to what's going on?
It's a week by week thing. Arguably moods are up right now because it looks like tariff deals are being made, which looks at businesses have to plan for the future. When they can't make spending decisions in the future, no money flows. When money doesn't flow, people don't get bonuses, people don't buy watches, people aren't celebrating. So there needs to be, the more predictability there is, the more spending that happens, the more opportunities there are for people to buy watches. So I'd say there's a low opportunity for people to buy watches now. But again, that could change very fast.
Well, that leads us on to Tudor, who are trying to make it an even lower chance of us buying one of their watches with the release of a limited edition Tudor Pelagos FXD Chrono Pink watch.
Are they
Ripley,
like in liquidation mode? What's going on with Tudor?
Well, I was just going to ask that. Is something weird going on at Tudor? This is...
I feel like they have like, oh guys, we got to move a bunch of units. Like, get rid of these carbon things. They're not moving. Let's quickly get rid of them.
Yeah.
Like, or is it carbon I don't know. This one's not carbon. This is
this is carbon. This is basically, I had to do a double take. This is basically just like the FXD Chrono Cycling Edition that I reviewed, save for it uses pink details instead of red on the dial. And you'd almost think that they just misprinted it and just had too light of a hue of ink. But the counters have pink hash marks on this one rather than being white like the standard production model. Now, this is a limited edition, only 300 examples. You also get a case back engraving, and they're individually numbered, which is kind of rare for Tudor. And 300 seems very small for Tudor, but it seems like a very bizarre release from this brand that historically has been super consistent. Everything's pretty much a core collection or not a limited edition.
Did they lose a bet? Were they only allowed to come out with pink and blue watches? There's a reason this is pink.
There is a famous bike race that they are the official timekeeper of, and the winner of it gets to wear the pink jersey. So it's the pink is the color, the symbol of this bike race in Italy.
So think of this irony. This one has a reason why it's pink, yet the one before it that was pink, everyone thought it had a reason, but Tudor's confirmed that it had, in fact, no reason.
Yes.
Some of their pink watches have a reason, some don't. Same goes for blue.
Or any other color, yeah. But that's cool. I quite like this one, though. I'm not a fan I'm still not sure about the FXD thing, if I would want to wear it in the long run. It just
feels like they're trying to get rid of stock. Like, oh my God, we've built up all these chronograph units.
So much FXD.
Somehow we got to get rid of them. Are they angry at Breitling? Like, what's going on?
They could just mill the fixed part out of the lugs and just sell it as a normal lug structure watch.
Because they've just had the F1 release, and then they followed it up with this pink release as well. It just feels odd. Do we need
They lost a bet with Rolex. That's what it is.
Do we need to replace Guess the Price of a Seiko with Guess the Price of the Tudor? Because there's now more Tudors being released than there is Seikos.
No, because we know they're all about $5,000.
Yeah.
It's an unexciting game.
They don't arbitrarily charge more for colors or anything like that. It's a pretty...
It's $5,600.
There you go. And do you know what all of the other FXD Chronos are priced at? $5,600 USD. So it's... Okay. I think we'll all be really good at this game if we want to play it.
So let's play Guess the Price of the Tudor. David, how much is this Tudor?
I think it's $5,600.
Ariel, guess from you, please. How much is this Tudor?
Probably around $5,000.
And Ripley, you wrote the article, so you already know the answer. So they go, yes, the answer is $5,600. In all seriousness, let me just check the... the MSRP for the F1 was $7,575.
I mean, look at the whole design in the background there.
F1
I mean,
tax.
can they not do better?
Well, the F1 watch was a more substantial variation than this one. That one, I don't think we've had like a black bay in carbon before. This is literally a dial variation with a case back engraving and a pink stripe strap.
I want to know what Tudor's liquidating for. What are they clearing space for? Okay, they're not going out of business. Why are they clearing space? What's going on?
Are they buying?
No, Girard Perregaux. They've just got their 11s is up, and yeah.
Are they
Rolex
coming out with their own chronograph?
That's Girard Perregaux.
Are they like rushing out all the existing stock? Like, what's going on? I mean, that would make sense.
Is anybody buying Tudors?
Not according to that report we recently saw.
Yeah, but that's my concern, is that actually when somebody sits down and looks at the numbers at Rolex, they see how much money they're investing in Tudor, and nobody's buying them.
But they're not investing the same as Rolex. Rolex has marketing investment. Tudor sort of pretends to.
And I mean, a lot of what Tudor, they had a big amount of success after they rolled out the Black Bay, but the Black Bay isn't a watch where you buy like 5 variations of it. You know, you get the one you like or the one that fits your wrist from a size perspective. And then I don't know anyone who's got like 4, 5, 6 Black Bays. And, you know, the Pelagos is just kind of like a modern Black Bay. So I can kind of see where they sort of hit the cap of what this design language was. Most people who wanted one got the version they wanted. And so they're sort of slowing with that. I think they need to do something a bit more new and different to get people to buy their second or third Tudor if they already have a Black Bay.
I think the Tudor that was popular was when it had some bling, but was sort of an entry-level Rolex. And then today, for the most part, they've tried to remove all the bling, right? So it's too expensive for like the indie watch lover that likes this sort of like old style tool watches. Maybe it's a grail. Maybe for them, the Tudor's a grail, but it's like 2 or 3 times what they can afford. And then for everyone that wants a luxury watch, it's not blingy. It's just more hipstery, right? So yes, there's a market for that, but it's not big enough. You know, and we saw that with Zenith, for example, that had similar low numbers, like similar kind of crowd. Like, are you the ironic rich guy that wants like the small, unpolished old thing that still costs $12,000? You know, obviously Zenith is more expensive, but I think Tudor has that sort of same vibe. You know, it was the date just, one that like the knockoff, not the day, but the date day, and like they had their own little bling appeal, and now that's sort of all gone. So what Tudor hasn't done is used marketing to create a new image. They think that they can do it with product, and there isn't some $10,000, $20,000 sterile looking dive watch that is the market leader that they're competing with, right? That's the thing. So it's not jewelry enough, and there's not enough of a brand message to say this is a Tudor guy or that's a Tudor gal. It's not Lady Gaga.
So is the problem that they're being compared to their big brother, and probably that's what's happening internally in the boardrooms at Rolex? Because you say nobody buys.
You think Breguet or Patek, right?
Yeah.
Like when you see Tudor, what do you think? Like, oh, even douchier Panerai? Like, what is where does that an aspiration to? Where do you go after that? Like the actual expensive vintage Rolex or something like that? Like it's not an entry to anything. It's trying to just fit into sort of nerd popularity. And that's always a race to the bottom. Like we've seen that.
Speaking as a nerd, it's a race to the bottom. Yeah. So
I'm just saying, like, who's the guy who's also a brand whore, but also wants that vintage military watch experience? It's not enough people to sustain the hundreds of thousands of units. And again, Rolex is doing way better, close to 1 million, if not more than 1 million at this point, right? Tudor just needs to be in the hundreds of thousands. It's a great product, but what we've seen is the product itself is not enough to inspire the hopes and dreams of the mainstream consumer who's spending about $5,000. So the way it did it in the past was being kind of blingy and looking like a more expensive thing, which it doesn't do right now.
So
for the most part.
More bling is what's needed. I mean,
more bling.
The last great Tudor, I think, was the original launch of the GMT, the Black Bay GMT. I think that was when everybody lost their minds that Tudor was now this great thing, and I think it's been largely downhill since then. Not like a steep decline, but just like a bumping along.
Well, it was a different era then for GMT watches. We didn't have the Miyota 9075, so the fact that someone could get, that flyer style GMT functionality and not have to buy a GMT Master 2 was, there were fewer options. Now you have ample options below $1,000. You've got tons of options from Swatch Corp brands like Longines, Certina, Hamilton, Mito that kind of fill the same void. Things with the Miyota go from 500 to 900 pretty much, So like you can get that same functionality and less. And there's plenty of micro brands doing a vintage inspired watch with that functionality. So I think, if the Black Bay GMT released today, it wouldn't have the same overwhelmingly positive reception that it did when it released back then. People would be critiquing the chunkiness of its case, the price point, whatever. But I think it was, at the time that it launched, it was not revolutionary, but it was a considerable value proposition for what it was. And that just is less so today.
David, future for Tudor? Is it just going to continue as is? Are they going to do anything that's really going to shock anybody? Or
I don't think
I don't even know what the next level for Tudor would be.
Yeah, I don't think it's quite so much doom and gloom. I think the reason why they were successful, at least my impression was during the early stages of the Black Bay era, was that it's probably one of the best watches you can buy if you're buying a watch based on the spec sheet and the price, right? It was a watch that would soothe the mind of the first time luxury watch buyer. I want the most amount of watch for my money for $5,000. I want, like all the reasons, why these watches stood out. And anytime I would do a comparison in my head, I would have to like basically take the Black Bay and maybe even the Pelagos out, because it just gives you so much for, so little, not little. It's not a little amount of money, but still it's very, very competitive as a package. So I think they just have to continue hammering that message a little bit, although there's a cap to that. Every year there's many, many, many tens, if not more, thousands of people buying their first luxury watch, and they are seeking safety because they are not so sure about their taste. They're not so sure about their preferences, and they want to buy something that at least performs well for the money. So I think that's where Tudor comes in.
Before we let some of the hit miss maybe crew in, a question for you about Tudor. In the UK, you're seeing many more dedicated Tudor boutiques, and I wonder if that's a problem, because actually the best way for the single watch buyer to view that a Tudor is as good as it is seeing it next to other watches that are £2,000, £3,000, £4,000, appreciating that it feels solid, it feels well constructed. But sticking it in a boutique all by itself, where you have that intimidation factor of wandering into the mono brand, I just don't think is where you should be selling $4,000 or $5,000 watches. I think $4,000 or $5,000 watches you should be selling alongside other watches. If you think
aren't
you've
there
got
enough
the best
Rolex
bang for your
stores
buck.
that they could be sold in? I mean,
Well,
let's be
that
honest.
would be the obvious thing. The obvious thing would be to put a Tudor concession in a Rolex store, so there was actually something to aspire to and something for the people employed by Rolex to actually do all day in
That
selling
happens
Tudors.
not often enough. Don't get me wrong, there are places that are sold next to one another, but the fact that Rolex and Tudor aren't joined more often surprises me and shocks me.
Is there anywhere where that's all that's sold, though? I can understand there's plenty of multi-brand boutiques which sell Rolex, Tudor, and Breitling and Omega. Is there anywhere that just sells Rolex and Tudor? I've never seen one.
I've heard of it existing. I've heard of it existing. I know it does, but I don't think it's very common.
Well, if anyone in the chat or anyone listening to the show wants to get in touch, you can email podcast@ablogtowatch.com or what can you do, Ripley?
Oh, we have a very
WhatsApp
long and cumbersome number on WhatsApp. You can.
I'll read it out, and all I need you to do is do the last 3 digits. So it's +44 7386 690
897.
That's the one. Well done. It's
pretty good.
Done. 897. That was a good impression.
So are we not talking about the Louis Vuitton and the Lange so we could talk more about this?
Right, let's let Matt into the lobby, and we will in fact talk about the Louis Vuitton and the Lange. Matt, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Can you all hear me?
Good. Yes, we can. Welcome. Let's do quickly around the room and see who is where and what they are wearing. We may be expecting somebody else to dial in shortly from Dubai, but we will see. Matt, where are you and what are you wearing?
I'm in San Diego, California. I'm wearing a Seiko mod.
Seiko mod. Good stuff. Excellent. Like the whole thing or just the mod part?
Is that like homemade liquor? Like the same kind of pride? Like this came from house steel.
I do a little bit of that.
Pan your camera to the left and see the moonshine stills. David, where actually are you and what have you got on your desk? Because you're probably not wearing a watch.
Yeah, I actually am in Budapest, and I have on my desk the watch that I was wearing yesterday, which is the good old Casio A159 WAD, W-A-D, 1D, the cheapest ever factory diamond set watch.
Brilliant.
Which is pretty damn cool. Read my review on it because it's great. Not the review, but the watch. It's like $90, maybe $70.
Are they still available? Can you still buy them?
Yeah, you can find them online in places. Look at this.
Yeah, but Casio don't sell them anymore. Or do
I
they
love that
still
crystal.
Yeah, the crystal is cool. Probably worth more than the diamonds in it. And you do get the diamond certificate and stuff. So it's like a legit gem set watch. So good. Very comfy too.
The watch to which all watches should frankly be compared and on Hitmiss maybe. Ariel, where are you? What are you wearing?
I'm in, was cold, then hot, now cold again. Maybe we'll be hot again next week, Los Angeles, wearing a Sartori Ballard SB 04E with a pink Aventurine dial, which I chose.
Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. Is that yours or is it just in for a look?
I don't know.
You know, it might be yours, maybe.
It's actually related to tariffs. It's a complicated thing. So it's an unresolved thing.
So what we're saying is Matt is illegally producing alcohol and Ariel is running illegal
No,
shipping.
it wasn't supposed to be. It was
running.
before all that started. But anyways, it's a complicated issue. And
we can't go back.
We'll have
the problem
updates in
is
the future.
Tariffs I can't send it back to you. Tariffs, man. Ripley.
It was a shocking bill, okay?
Ripley, how's it going? What are you wearing and what brand are you repping in your clothing today?
I am in Los Angeles, as the wall would indicate, wearing the Notice Sector Field Titanium tag, obviously, on the hat. And the shirt is from the aBlogtoWatch store. It is the red and blue. Ariel, you might be able to give us the formal name on this one.
Oh. So is that... Oh, okay. So I thought it was an AP looking dial, but it's not. It's just the way you held it up made it look square.
It's just the angular nature of my super sculpted chest.
Exactly.
No, it is a circular
Ariel,
bezel.
you're on mute.
Oh, so, what I'm saying is, Rick, maybe that you have an interesting thought. We could try taking that red and blue, but doing it in the AP bezel shape. It could just be kind of a weird mashup.
Moser did that on that.
Moser, I think the world is crying out for a Moser.
Oh yeah, they did do that on that one.
The Moser mix T-shirt. Do that as a T-shirt. It's not like Moser are going to sue you. I dare them. I dare Edward to claim to claim any sort of
I don't
right
like Frankenstein's monster that much. Okay.
So I'm sorry. That would be my exit watch. If I could get my hands on one of those. It still exists despite the fact, we've all seen it several times.
I've worn it. I play with it. I've shot it.
He came on a show that I was on and told me that watch had been destroyed after the controversy.
Oh, no.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
That's a cool urban legend right there. But that's it.
Yes. Well, there we go. So it's definitely back. And I'm in Scotland and we're in Paris. And it's been 3 weeks of solid sunshine, another 2 weeks of sunshine forecast, no rain, no nothing. This is where you need to be.
Are the plants all dying?
Well, yes.
Immediately.
Yes, they are.
Are the animals blind? Do they know what's going on?
Everyone's staring at the thing in the sky, slowly going blind. Yes, but there we go. Right, let's Hitmiss maybe some watches. David, let's do one that you have written about. This is a review of the Rosenbusch, I assume is how it's pronounced, the Quest RB200 Midnight Blue and Emerald Green. Tell me about this watch and this brand.
Ariel would be better suited to tell you about it. We met the founder back in fall when we had an event in Munich with eBay, and it's a cool novel brand, one of many that have joined this trend of integrated bracelet watches. I actually start the article by saying that it's basically, this is the watch that tipped me over to accept the fact that this is a genre now, which I admit is a testament to how slow I am, because, we all accept the fact that people are doing dive watches, everyone's doing that with a rotating bezel and, similar dial and case and bracelet and whatnot. But even until very recently, people were like, "Oh, why is everyone doing like this? It looks like an AP." Well, that's because it's a genre now. It's not just in the same way how we stopped calling dive watches Submariner copies, right? They are just, the category. And now this is the category. So like it or not, I'm not really a fan of the category itself or the genre itself. But here we are. And once we have the category, and then we can compare watches in it. And, we see this tremendous variation in terms of price, in terms of quality. And whoever enters this market has to contemplate, okay, do I want to sell a watch for 500 or 1,000 or 1,500? And how much quality can I cram into that? And how much quality can I get out of my suppliers for any given price point? So this is where it gets interesting to me.
Let's let Ralph into the room. While he's coming in, Ariel,
hello.
You've handled this watch well. Good morning, Ralph. You've handled this watch as well, Ariel?
Briefly, I actually saw these guys in Geneva because I think they actually went to Time to Watch this for the first time. David's more immediately familiar with the product, but I've been thinking about what he said about this being a genre. And I think that the best way to name the genre is something to do with Gerald Genta, like Gentamania or something like that, because that's really what it is. It's a bunch of stuff which is... It's decreasingly directly based on what Genta did, but it's still all based on a shape and a style that he popularized. So Gentamania, until anyone can figure out better. The thing I worry about this is that, on the downside, it's in danger of cannibalizing itself. Like there can't be this many interest in shapely integrated bracelet watches. With that said, similar to the dive watch area, it's such a robust area for competition. And so what you have people trying to do, as David said, is kind of outdo one another. And you don't really have that everywhere. You don't really have like the race for the cheapest minute repeater. But here you have like how much detailing, cool movement can you do for everywhere from 5,000 to sometimes close to $4,000. And there's a huge amount of variety, and there's a lot of great things. It's helped popularize the quick release bracelets and nice colored dials. So it's overall a good genre, but it's difficult to support any one of these over another. I mean, there's just so many options out there. Who's on mute now?
Yeah, he'll get it eventually, right?
We don't hear you,
Rick,
man.
you're still on mute.
It's not even mute.
Sorry, I'd put Ralph on mute. I thought you were saying... So Ralph is now off
You
mute.
unmuted me, yeah.
I unmuted you and forgot to unmute myself. Yes, amateur mistake. Where are you, Ralph, and what are you wearing?
I am in Dubai and I am wearing a German watch for a change. And that's my pretty new one. This is a DUG Purist Type 2. It's a small brand from Glashütte. They actually even are allowed to put Glashütte on the dial.
Right.
Though it is a very nice construction. You can get it with these numerals, Arabic numerals, or stick indices, 4 different dial colors. It's very nice.
Have you got shares in this company, Ralph?
Sorry?
Have you got shares in this company? You getting a cut?
No, I don't. And actually, I paid for this watch. And it actually has a very nice movement. It's not a German movement. It's a Swiss movement. It's a Celita SW400 that is decorated and hand decorated in Glashütte. So somehow they got around the Glashütte rules that you have to make the watch in Glashütte. But it's very nice. And it's about 1,000
Only
euros.
a few years until they have something original looking.
Yes, James, I did was on mute.
Attention to detail, because they also have these, they have a version with a date, without a date, and they're not actually having a ghost date.
The Germans love too many choices, right? Like when you buy those, like, do you want your movement decorated? Oh gosh, why are you asking me? Why would you have the not decorated option if there's a decorated option?
Right.
Exactly.
The Rosenbusch, the Quest RB2. Rosenbusch, the Quest. That just seems like an odd...
the quest for
syntax.
the Rosenbusch.
Exactly.
The Rosenbusch.
Sounds like a 1990s Atari game.
The Quest. This is seeming awkwardly familiar. Isn't that the name of Vacheron's movie?
Campaign?
Yeah.
Yes.
Everyone's on a quest now.
Everyone's in a quest.
The quest.
It's better than being ultra.
You
trying to
remember
make
our
watches.
joke about the quest? How many things
Watch
in the
making
same
is
day
hard.
had the quest in it? We were like engineers, like everything's the quest.
And now
Go to
we
the
have
bathroom.
the Rosenberg quest. Rosenbush quest.
Right, okay. Call to order. Is it a hit? Is it a miss? Or is it a maybe? 1, 2, 3, go. Miss, maybe,
Uh-oh. Sorry.
maybe, miss, maybe. Yeah. Matt, I think you are. No, Matt has disappeared. He hated it that much. Ralph, tell us a story. How did you vote?
I voted maybe, and for me, it's just one of these watches nobody really asked for, but it might find some fans. So that's for me. It's a maybe. So
Good.
not for me.
Matt, you gave it a miss.
I gave it a miss. I found it very distasteful, and I would rather not look at it again. Thank you very much.
Okay, that's fine. That's a derivative, yes. David, did you get my maybe?
I gave it a maybe because I think there's a very strong market for these watches out there, and the quality was certainly there. So I respect the fact that there's been quite a bit of attention put to its details, and the price is not stratospheric. So if you're liking the looks and you're in the market for something like this, I don't think it's a bad choice. I think that's why it's a maybe. I don't like this genre at all, so I'm not in the market for it. But that's just a tasting.
But Matt would appreciate it if you did choose to buy one that you never visited him. Ariel, how'd you vote?
So I said maybe, just because, again, there's a lot of these. One thing I want to say about this, which is totally weird, is when I first saw it, I was like, oh, it's trying to be a Dietrich. In person, it looks less like a Dietrich than you'd think. I know that sounds crazy, but it really doesn't look as much like a Dietrich in person, even though it does in images. Can't explain it. David knows what I'm talking about.
I do understand.
Just
It's
a weird
clear.
thing.
It clearly looks like a
But they're
Dietrich.
not bad. They're not bad.
Because I only ever saw this in person or in the metal. When people said it looks like a Dietrich, I was like, maybe, I guess. But but you have to see
it
the
does.
Yeah.
But not in person.
What a weird conundrum that is.
Okay. Ripley, how'd you vote?
I said it's a maybe. It does look like a Dietrich, but it also looks like someone said, we're going to combine the Royal Oak and the Nautilus. And then they did that. And then they said, okay, well, you can't make it look just like that. Make it, like the homework. Make it look a little different so they don't know I copied. And then they arrived with this. And then there's so much I don't like about it. But the little weird seconds hand with the minute track being positioned, I don't like it, but I don't dislike it. At least it's something different. So I said it's a maybe. I'd want to see it in person to just sort of see the quality of it. It seems like a decent value if you're looking for this type of thing. But it's an interesting watch. I can't say it's a definitive miss.
James making an interesting point. It looks a bit like that Creedor. It does indeed. It looks like you know the guy that Ulysses Nardin had making the paper mache watches.
No.
Do you remember watching one a couple of years ago? Makes the paper watches out of cardboard.
Already forgotten.
Lebesgue, him. It's a him. This looks like every watch that he makes that's supposed to be round. They all end up looking this shape. And I don't understand the naming convention either, so it's a miss for me. So this. If Lebesgue made this watch, it'd be an identical copy. You'd be able to make it absolutely precisely, because you can get those angles sorted. Right, let's move on to the next watch, and that is going to be Mr. Ariel Adams has reviewed this from Louis Vuitton, the Louis Vuitton Tambour Tycho Galactique Automata Minute Repeater Watch. Go on, Ariel.
The name says it all.
What does the name actually say? Realistically, what does
you
it
have
actually
the
say?
Tycho version of the tambour case, so we got that. And the whole galactic thing is their way of saying space stuff, which is basically what it is. It's space stuff, done very well, but space stuff. And it's an automaton minute repeater, so when the minute repeater is activated, there's a bunch of animation happening on the dial, like the astronaut waving the flag and stuff spinning, and it's a bunch of nice toys. The detail is like impeccable. The dial has been like hand painted. It's crazy detailed. The quality of the little engraving and all that. It's easy to miss the fact that there's a Louis Vuitton branded astronaut.
It's not easy to miss that. It's not easy to miss that. Like, come on.
I guess the whole absurdity of it, it would be like a Starbucks branded astronaut. Like, I don't want to go to that astronaut training school. Like, I don't know what their point is. Like, I'm sure they're going to like be very well energized in this case, have very nice luggage. But planting the flag of Louis Vuitton, I don't know what colonial message that sends. So it's a very interesting watch. It reminds me that they're of something that they'd be trying to excite Pharrell Williams, who's the creative director of Louis Vuitton now, though my understanding is that even though he's a watch person, he hasn't involved himself, and he's been very interested in astronauts as themes for a variety of fashion. So, and he has a Richard Mille with an astronaut helmet like dial. That's like the thing that he wears. So I don't know. It's weird because it's sort of like they're trying to say it's not from him, but it's sort of inspired by him. I don't know. So it's a lot of detailing, stratospheric price that they refuse to talk about. They told me, but I forgot in passing. It's very high.
It's
very
not
impressive.
Article, is it? Okay.
I think that my favorite luxury part is the gradient of precious stones on the minute repeater lever itself. You sort of have to look at the side. But there's these beautiful gradient of stones there. I mean, again, I don't really know what else to say. It sort of speaks for itself. A lot of opinions, I'm sure, just forming up inside of someone's gut.
Is it a hit? Is it a miss? Is it maybe 1, 2, 3, go? Maybes, hits. Matt, why is it a hit?
I mean, come on, this thing's incredible. Take me to Planet Louis all day long. I'm ready to go. Get me off this hellhole. You know what I'm saying? It looks
just
so
because you live in California doesn't mean that
it's not too bad here, but it looks better
escape.
there. I just think it's fun and imaginative, and it could have been
more tasteful.
Even still, it could have been a little bit more tasteful, but they could have gone more over the top with the LV branding. So I actually think there's some restraint in a bizarre way. And I just think it's cool. It's absurd. I'll never see it. And who doesn't like a crown at 12 or 6? It's space. We don't know which way's up around here. So it's hard.
So a bulldog crown is fine. Ralph?
Do you ever wonder where that view is from?
I was trying to figure that out as to whether that view is actually possible. Yeah. Can you be on the moon
and see the Mars,
see the Earth like that?
And see Mars quite so large.
Is that not supposed to be the sun? Actually,
it's supposed to be the sun.
Is it a sun?
That's supposed to be.
There was a famous shot from the moon. See the Earth rise.
Yeah, but is Africa?
Does Louis Vuitton realize that we've already been there? They're not planting any flag that's new.
And maybe they know something.
It's the final frontier of LVMH's portfolio.
Yeah. There's gems that space trash floating around. That's great.
Yeah, Louis Vuitton luggage in space. It's just what you need. That's how to stop the alien overlords finally arriving. Ralph, did we get your vote? I can't remember.
Yeah, it was a hit. I mean, for me, very clearly a hit. I mean, this is the Fabrique du Temps at its best, I think. It's creative, it's fun. Mm-hmm. It's as Matt said, it's just fantastic watchmaking. You have a minute repeater in it, the automaton, maybe a few too few Louis Vuitton logos on the astronaut. I think it's only 5 or 6. I mean, could be more.
Needs more. Needs more.
So, yeah, it's actually. I think it's really a lovely watch, and I think they're firmly planting their autohology part in the watch world, just as a halo product for all of the tambours that they're going to sell, which I also think are amazing watches. So it's really good. They're going
they're going to the moon, it would appear. David?
I gave it a maybe. The quality again is still outstanding. I can tell just from these pictures, which are very nice, by the way. It's it's like the lacquer, the way it's applied, the on the astronaut, the whole thing, the movement looks amazing. I was just laughing at this astronaut waving the Louis Vuitton flag. It's like the Astro douches of the future. Like, look at me, I have Louis Vuitton. It's like you could have like empty hands or something like that, but you have to have other astronauts see that you are rocking the LV logo. It's like
that Bezos is designing his next
We'll be looking
space
down at
suits
the
with Louis
Gucci
Vuitton.
oh
astronauts
my
next
god,
doors.
yeah.
The Gucci
Oh my
astronauts.
god.
The old Navy astronauts.
But this is really the future of douche, space doucheness. I love that. The quality again is outstanding, so that's great. The price is probably exorbitant at like 700,000-800,000. It's like probably 3 times as much as it would necessarily need to be. Well, whatever. Fun times.
Ariel.
I mean, you can't not wear it because of just all the time and effort. It's like you have to have respect for the artisans and, the painters, the engravers, the watchmakers, all the people that put this stuff together. I laugh when I see the animation because it's just like the expense versus the toy factor. I mean, it is a very expensive toy. Just a very expensive toy. You have to know what it is, celebrate it for what it is. But there's like no crowd of people who aren't going to be delighted by it. Like, it'll make people smile in any room, everywhere. Don't tell people what it costs, but like it's a crowd pleaser across this planet and others apparently.
I'm assuming the astronaut waves the flag and the little blue thing in the satellite spins. What else does it do?
I don't know if it went through the embed, but if you click in the article, there's a little video that I published on Instagram that shows the animation.
Oh, right, okay. It doesn't come through on the embed for me displaying it on.
Okay,
on
I might have to re-embed that.
Go and check the article for that. Ripley?
I said it's a hit. I mean, this is fun. It, like Ariel said, it's a very expensive horological toy, but I think it's very earnest about that. This isn't a very serious piece, despite being very serious from a mechanical perspective. I like the weird imperialism of the Louis Vuitton astronaut planting the LV flag in the only thing that LVMH doesn't seem to own, which is the moon right now. I think it's cool. I think, the minute repeater itself isn't really all that practical to us. So if you're going to do a minute repeater, have some fun with it. And this is tons of fun. It's beautifully executed. It's a fantastic toy, space themed toy. If you were left cold by the moon swatch, here's the ultimate space novelty thing.
Do minute repeaters work in space? If you put a minute repeater in zero gravity, does it still work the same, or does it do something slightly different because there's no force on? I don't know. Just feels like it might not make the same sort of noise in space.
It works in space.
In space, no one can hear your minute repeater.
Sound travels in space.
Next alien. Well, no, it doesn't travel. It doesn't travel in space. So I don't know whether,
like in the spaceship. Oh, you're talking about like in the vacuum of space. But then no one's there to listen.
No, but the guy's got it on his wrist, and the
They'll move
automaton
around. You might not. You won't hear it necessarily. I'm just saying, in the spaceship, without gravity, it'll work.
In the spaceship,
you mean the vacuum of space?
How annoying would that would be the astronaut that you would bump off in the movie, the one that brought the Louis Vuitton minute repeater into the 9-month space adventure. Oh, look at my minute repeater. I'm curious as to where the missing L is. There's a V on the space ship.
It's on the other side, I guess.
No, they do the V only a lot of the time. That's the thing.
Do they really?
Yeah.
Not being a customer of Louis Vuitton, I did not know that. There you go. Every day is a school day.
But I think, Richard, you have a great idea of a minute repeater that doesn't make a sound.
That's a Moser minute repeater for you. Has no hands, and the slider's connected to nothing. Yes, I like that idea. Let's do that. Right, finally for today, let's have a look at the A. Lange & minute repeater perpetual watch in platinum. Okay, who got to see this at Watches and Wonders?
I played with it.
You played with it. Did you feel that it would work in space?
It's pretty wearable. It's pretty small for a minute repeater. That's sort of the whole point of it.
And what else did you observe about it? I think it pass. Yeah, it passes muster in terms of the perpetual calendar showing everything consistently the same way, except for the enormous date window.
This watch is basically kind of like an FU to Patek Philippe.
Right. Okay.
Like, you don't need to convince any Longue people to like you more, but they're like, Patek is like, oh, we have these small minute repeater perpetual calendars because they claim that the Longue ones are too big. So Longue is like, okay. And it's like, like almost $1 million.
Is that right? Is that the contest? Is there genuinely, or is it just made up by us that the guys at Lange are just going, yeah, we can do everything Patek can do better, except we don't have the name Patek.
No, between Longue and Vacheron, they're hitting Patek while they're down.
Successfully?
They're trying to Patek for a long time has claimed that from a watchmaking perspective, oh yeah, others can do it, but we make it the finest, we make it the smallest, we make it the most wearable. And now others are biting at the chops. I mean, yes, previous Aulong and Zona minute repeaters have been rather big by comparison. So they wanted to have a classic small wearable one. It's not small, but it's like, a wearable one. It's not, some of the 1815 minute repeater that was huge, and the Zeitwerk versions that are chiming are arguably quite large. This is full on a Patek Philippe competitor.
Okie dokie. Well, it's 750,000 euros. You've, mind you, $1 million probably, isn't it? Let's give it a vote. Is it a hit? Is it a miss? Or is it a maybe? 1, 2, 3, go. Hit. Maybe. 3 maybes, 2 hits. Matt, why is it a maybe?
It's obviously so beautiful, and everything is so thoughtfully curated on the dial. Really, to me, it's a hit, but philosophically, I have to give any hand-wound perpetual calendar a maybe. I just cannot abide by the absurdity of a hand-wound.
Yes, you have to wear it
every day. And I'm sure.
I'm changing my hit to a maybe too. I might even move it to a miss. That's a very good point. And it's got pushers as well, isn't it? To set it, presumably.
I am curious how it's set, and I guess these days it's got to be easy to set. You got to, if you're really gonna compete with Patek, you got to make it easy to set. But very poor water resistance as well. So I think it's definitely a miss. Can't go deep sea diving with this. Ralph, how'd you vote and why?
I voted maybe. I think I'm tending to a bit of the miss in this one. I love Lange. I think it's just too classic looking. It's just a bit of a miss, as in they had the chance to make it a bit more fun, but I guess they went the exact super classic way of how they make their watches. I guess that's the audience for this kind of money. But and to your point, I don't know, Matt, I don't know the power reserve of this watch, but I think it's
about 20 minutes probably.
With a minute repeater in it.
Looking at what's going on. That minute repeater is going to suck the juice.
Yeah, I love Lange, and I think the design is generally lovely. Still have a bit of a beef with this two plane date window, right? That it's not on a single plane because I think they don't have a patent for it. But other than that, yeah, it's for me, it's a maybe.
Ariel?
I am also among this type of people that don't want any manually wound perpetual calendar, especially without a power reserve indicator. You're just asking for trouble, and you're just going to be looking at a calendar which is wrong all the time, which is sad because that's like most of the dial. So it's like it's a lovely watch from a technique perspective, but it's actually not what I like Aulong and Zona about. I'm not really into perpetual calendars or minute repeaters. And sort of as I said, this is not a product they made for traditional fans. This is them trying to branch out a little bit and get some market share from others. And they can do it very well. And so from a technique perspective, you're like, wow, they can make a very wearable, you know that you could wear on a daily basis in terms of like basic durability, minute repeater, perpetual calendar. Great, you can do it. But for that same amount of money, I'd have like multiple other Longays and be probably happier.
When you say market share from others, I mean, they're saying they're only going to make 50 of them. Well, there's not really a market for this, really, is there?
Oh, no, there is, because it's not just this watch and what comes after it. All those people that want this but can't get it, now they're waiting in line for the next one. So the group of people out there that buys these level of watches is finite. And if you miss them at one watch, you could easily get them for the next time around. Once the loyalties shift, it's kind of difficult to shift back.
And do we know, I mean, you'll know more watch collectors than I do. Have you come across people that were the Patek man? That was it. And now the convert, the zealot, they now are for A. Lange & Söhne because they've switched sides.
Yes,
like, is that actually a thing that's happening?
Yes.
And are these the most annoying people you've ever met?
Well, they might be listening.
I'm just curious as the process. Somebody's bought Pateks all their life, and do they move to A. Lange & Söhne because it is a better watch, or because they can get it? Or
look,
what
super
puts them
fans
off?
demand a ton of attention, and they become super fans because the brand treats them nicely. Over the last several years, the reports from a lot of Patek buyers, longtime buyers, is, oh my God, Patek has gone from treating me nicely to just treating me like some other schmuck that's trying to buy one of their watches.
Right.
And they've gone from being super fans to like enemies. You know what I mean? Like the crazy ex-girlfriend thing. So it's not like they're just like passively like, okay, I don't buy that from you. They're like, I used to love that brand. They were great. Then they wronged me, and I'm going to let everyone know for the next 5 years.
Right.
So
okay.
I there's a real sense of that happening rather than just like, oh man, Longe. I mean, I'm a Patek person, but I got to hand it to you. You really outdone them. Like, that's not so much going on as much.
Right. Okay. So that's what I'm getting at. So there's the people who make the move because they appreciate it better, but actually it's a mixture of being put off Patek and they're being pushed and then eventually pulled by the product that exists at A. Lange & Söhne, but they're actually leaving not liking Patek rather than just going, oh, this is a better watch and I can get hold of it and like this.
I think Longe has internal pressure not to only make expensive watches, but to make more expensive watches because they're not going to increase production. They obviously want to make more money. I think that they're trying to see what they can get away with at this price point. And it's a good place. Obviously, they haven't started here, but it's a good place to do something super classic where you could like change the name to Patek on the dial and nobody would be like, what's that?
Yeah. And do A. Lange & Söhne have a future doing this within Richemont Group?
Let's find out.
Going much more expensive, much more limited.
The Odysseus, the sights were set on the Nautilus. Like they're obviously like a shark circling around Patek.
Okay, Ripley, how did you vote?
I said it's a hit. I mean, just look at it. It's gorgeous. And I mean, okay, manually wound perpetual calendar, definitely not the most practical. But if I'm spending like $1 million on a watch, I probably have a large staff of people.
I have a man for that.
Exactly. A manservant named Chives, whose job it is to keep this wound and set for me. So like, yeah, why not? You know, I get to look at more of the movement and it's his problem to keep it wound and set for me each day. But yeah, that's a hit. That thing's gorgeous.
I have to remind you about the watch butler.
Yeah, exactly. We have a watch butler, or with like, you know, some Bulgaris or that work, it comes with a watch butler box that keeps it wound and set for you. In this one, you just have the old school version of just a man on staff for you. But yeah, this thing's gorgeous. It's pretty.
The world's newest technology, winding the world's oldest technology.
I mean, maybe there is a watch. Has there ever been a watch winder designed that actually winds the watch as opposed to makes the automatic movement spin?
Yes. That
Yeah.
Bulgari ultra thin thing has this box you put it into that both like winds and sets it because there's no crown. It's just like a gear, exposed gear on the side, basically.
I'm more meaning like I can go and buy from a watch winder something and I can put any watch that's a manual watch, and it will just wind the crown for me.
It's called a Dremel and a piece of chewing gum.
No, they do have it. They're actually engineering difficult because you have to have an overwinding protection, right? Because you actually, with not all manually wound watches, but many of them, you could overwind them. Yeah. So they're actually way more expensive than the automatic watch winders.
Well, I bet they are.
Well, yeah, you think about the things that come with them. I think Lange has that torque wrench that you screw it into the back of one of their watches to wind it. Or maybe it's JLC who has that. And then Hublot on some of their watches with like those crazy power reserves.
No, the Lange 31.
Yeah, the Hublot's got the little gun torque winder thing that you clip onto the crown and pull the trigger.
My favorite was from Kabistan. Remember Kabistan? And they came out with this thing. It was a mechanical like winch that sort of like increase the torque, and it was more complicated than the watch in some instances, so people would lose it. It would cost them a fortune to replace it because it was like this mechanical little tiny thing.
Oh, let's see if we can find that. Did we ever write about it? The Cabazan Triple Access Tourbillon Full Sapphire 2017.
I may have had a picture of one of those things. I don't know.
Yeah.
This is esoteric beyond belief. Okay.
Here's Cabistan for all of those that are watching.
But I think that was Eric Coudray, the same guy that did the gyro tourbillon.
Yeah, it's a gyro tourbillon, this, or triple access tourbillon, but effectively looks the same thing.
So it wasn't this watch that helped wind. It was a different one.
Mm. Cool watch, though. Cool watch.
You know, if you had your manservant Chives, he can wind any watch. It's not watch specific. So
what do you get to do to Chives if he overwinds your watch?
He goes in with all the previous Chives into the dungeon.
There you go.
Now we know what the wall is for.
You need a chive repeater.
A chive repeater. Good stuff. Well, I can't remember how. I think I gave it a hit, but I'm changing that to a miss because of the whole manual wound thing. That's a very good point. Thank you for educating me and making me more biased. Good. Right. That is our show for this week. On the main episode, if you want to listen to a little bit of post-match, you'll need to go to the aBlogtoWatch Weekly Live channel to see what happens next. But from this show, it's goodbye from all of us. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.